You ever learn a new word in school or you learn about something and all of a sudden you see it everywhere?
Yeah.
So, last episode, we were talking about our favorite sports movie. I said Rocky because of the Italian in me.
hmm
I don't know if you've been watching any Yankee games. They have been bringing Italian flags to Yankee Stadium because of Rizzo and Joey Gallo, and they've been
Oh,
embracing it. Yeah, Joey Gallo just bought a he was interviewed and he
uh-huh.
bought a shirt that said Italian Stallion with him and Rizzo on it. And he was like, "Yeah, I got it."
What, dude, what are the odds? Because you were just talking about like, oh, I'm the Italian stallion or what, of course, bro. So it's
Dude,
just you just seeing your Italian heritage everywhere.
dude, I'm seeing Italy everywhere. I went to go
Oh.
get a haircut and the guy was talking about on CNN, I guess before the pandemic, they were going around all of Italy
hmm
trying to see like different foods. He was like, I watched it. It was very, he knew I was Italian by my hair, by the way. It was really weird. And so he was like, did you know in Northern Italy? I was like, yeah, they didn't have spaghetti up there. He's like, how did you know that? And I was like, because they weren't able to grow wheat. I'm like, it's back then you were only
Oh
able to
man.
eat like what your land had. And
Uh-huh.
uh, I freak people out with what I know because it's always stuff that doesn't get you anywhere in life.
Yeah.
Like I can,
Like, all right,
I'll
I
tell
could
you
have gone
about,
like right now, I
yeah.
could have gone a whole minute without this conversation. What a way to kick off a sports show, huh?
Oh, as Italian Stallion, Zachary Nicolai, Joey Gallo, and Anthony Rizzo. Those are your top three right there. The Mount
Okay.
Rushmore. Oh, Sylvester Stallone.
Uh,
That is the Mount Rushmore of Italians. Let's put
oh,
that. Joe
man.
Pesci might have to make his way in there.
Oh
You might have
God.
to.
It
I
wasn't.
don't know, man. I might have to get Gallo off for Pesci. Welcome to Our Factual Opinion, led by your favorite Italian, Zachary Nicolai, alongside me, Tyler McGee.
Mhm.
Uh, Tyler, you're not Italian. What are you?
I'm a lot, bro. Italian.
A lot, but
Surprisingly.
no Italian.
No, I'm Italian, Irish, surprisingly Mexican, just whatever. I'm a mutt.
So you got some in you.
Yeah, yeah.
So I won't put you on Mount Rushmore, but you can
So
visit.
that could be
I'll
it
take you
could be
for that.
looking at it.
Yeah, I'll let you
Okay.
look at it. Yeah, that's awesome. That made my day. Find out that you're a little Italian in you.
Well, you know what else will make your day? Christmas. Merry Christmas, Zachary Nikolai. It's Christmas in August.
Dude, I saw that. Bleacher Report went and released the entire schedule. I'm ecstatic for that Lakers Nets series.
Mhm.
I know you got the full list. What are you looking at?
Yeah, so we got the full list here. We got the one game that I know I'm really looking forward to is this Hawks Knicks game, which, Trey Young
Trey.
bowing down Madison Square Garden. He's the villain of the Knicks now. I think if you're a Knicks fan, you absolutely hate this guy. That's gonna be a fun game to watch. Celtics Bucks, and then we got the Warriors at Suns, Nets at Lakers, and then the Mavericks at Jazz. So Christmas, full slate is fully released now. I will say some of these games are exciting and some of them are interesting. Like,
Yeah. What's interesting to me, Nuggets not having a game.
yes, yes. So we read that stat earlier was Nikola Jokic is the first reigning MVP to not get a Christmas game since they expanded it to 5 games back in 2008.
Yeah, but I think that's more of a testament to the NBA because I mean, you look at it, there's no really bad teams playing, so to
No,
speak.
no. And all
You know
these
what I mean?
teams are
So yeah,
star-studded teams.
yeah,
Obviously, you're
and
going to get star-studded teams for Christmas, but
yeah. So for the former MVP to not get a game, on Christmas since 2008, but all the games are still so interesting. I mean, I think that just shows how talented the NBA is now.
yes. Yeah, super talented. I mean, Hawks Knicks, you got Trey, you got Kemba, who's now on the Knicks, and you got Julius Randle, and that was just a great playoff. Even though the playoff series didn't go like the full 7, it was still a great series, and it was electric to see Madison Square Garden again in the playoffs. Celtics Bucks, you got Giannis, you got Tatum, Jalen Brown. The Celtics also just re-signed Marcus Smart to a
Yeah.
full whatever he can get. I think it was like 4 years,
Four
70 million.
77 mil.
77 mil. Okay, so big locker room guy, big presence. They love him. They say he's the heart and soul of the team. So you want to try and keep that team together. And then you got, which I thought this was the weird one. I thought there were two weird ones. I mean, I guess I get Celtics Bucks, and there wasn't a lot of. I would have liked to see the Heat and the Bucks because there's kind of just been some history between them. You know, the Heat beat the Bucks in the bubble. Now the Bucks went in on and swept the Heat in the playoffs this season, and now the Heat just added Kyle Lowry. It would have been nice to see, you know, the Heat and the Bucks. Personally, my opinion.
Yeah,
I just feel like
it's hard to force something in the East now.
yeah, but I feel like the reason you kind of have to have the Celtics in this Christmas. I mean,
Oh yeah.
it's Jason Tatum, but also it's just the Celtics, one of the most decorated teams in the NBA, which I hate to say because I'm a Lakers fan, but it's whatever. But I thought the Warriors and the Suns was kind of a weird matchup. No,
Yeah,
I feel like
that's
I mean, sometimes you like to see teams with history, you know that, but I guess. I mean, I like Steph Curry. I love Devin Booker. I love Chris Paul. Klay Thompson hopefully will be back and fully healthy. It's gonna be a fun game. Don't get me wrong. I don't know. I feel like it would have been more interesting to see a different matchup, even like a Suns Bucks rematch. Like usually,
yeah.
a lot of times we tend to see that championship team end up. The championship team and the team that lost in the championship play each other again in that Christmas game. A lot of times it tends to be that way. It's just I don't know.
Yeah, I would have done maybe a Suns Clippers or a Clippers Mavs
See,
rematch.
I was thinking the Clippers should get a game, but it's going to be no Kawhi Leonard most likely. So I feel like that's kind of why they
Well,
didn't get
the
it.
NBA always knows more than us.
Yeah,
That's what's
definitely.
interesting. Like you see the trades that are going on right now for the Clippers. Sorry to
Mhm.
sidetrack, but you look at it and it's like you get rid of Pat Bev. Pat Bev goes and shows his support for the Grizzlies, then gets traded
And then
again.
gets traded again. Poor guy.
Yeah, that sucked. But it's
Yeah.
like the trades they're making, it doesn't seem like it helps them. And also, it kind of seems like Steve Ballmer's saying, Kawhi's not going to be here. Let's see if
Get
we
a
can build
scorer.
around PG or let's, maybe just lower our luxury tax a bit.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like they're trying to win. So I think the NBA and the Clippers know Kawhi's going to miss a huge chunk, if
Chunk
not
of
the entire
time.
season next year.
I mean, yeah, I could see him missing the whole season. I could see him coming back with like, you know, the last month and a half or whatever. I mean, we don't know. Kawhi's always been a quiet guy. I feel like his injuries are always mysterious. Like obviously we know this was partially torn ACL, right? That's what it was.
Yeah.
So it's just a lot of times, you know, the Kawhi Leonard timetable is just mysterious. So who knows what's gonna happen? But yeah,
Favorite game has to be Lakers Nets, though.
yeah, Lakers Nets.
That's
That's gonna be the game to watch. I don't know if this is true. I saw it on Twitter by some, you know, like some random NBA Twitter account, not like a verified account or whatever, but I saw it saying that this is the first time LeBron and Kevin Durant are going to be playing each other again since Christmas back in 2018 when it was the Warriors Cavs game.
yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it could be right. I'm not 100% sure. Obviously, we don't have the facts on this. Like, I didn't really get to look at it just because I saw it and it just kind of went over my head. But that's interesting. But it's just this game is, you know, LeBron, Kevin Durant, always been compared their whole lives. And then you get Russell Westbrook playing Kevin Durant, and you get LeBron playing his old teammate Kyrie Irving, and it's going to be game. I think it's a game that everyone's saying like, oh, this is a possible NBA Finals preview, which I could see it, and I think it's just going to be an electric game. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Really looking forward
Yeah,
to it.
that's if that's not what is it, the 4 o'clock game? I think that's
That's like
the
the main
prime.
prime time game.
Yeah, yeah. If that's
It'll
not the
100%
four
I think
o'clock,
be the main because I think after it'll be the Mavericks and the Utah Jazz, which I thought was an interesting smaller market game.
that game should be before the Lakers and Nets. Like what you should be doing, I would put the Celtics last. That should be the 7 o'clock game. That way, the East is asleep. This West Coast team can watch it. I guess I don't care.
Oh, man.
But you look, Lakers and Nets are the stars now and what have been.
Mhm.
I mean, LeBron, 19 seasons of just being a
Great
stud.
times. Yeah.
Yeah, KD, people are saying he's the
One of the
best
greatest
thing
scorers of
in the
all time.
league. Yeah, Kyrie, one of the best ball handlers. AD, people go on and on about what they like about all these
Russell
people.
Westbrook, triple double machine.
Dude, Luca's the future. I've been on that
Yeah.
forever. You know what I mean? Donovan Mitchell, that guy's a stud.
hmm hmm
Hopefully the Mavs go and get a second guy. I've been hearing a lot of talk about Ben Simmons and other people, but that's remained to be seen. But
hmm
I think the Jazz are going to have great all stars. that are going to be leading, into the future. Luke is going to be the best player for like a decade. I think you do that before, kind of like, hey, these are stars to come. Show
Mhm.
the Lakers and Nets, and these are the stars now slash were.
It's a good concept. I mean, yeah, I could see that, but I think obviously it's just
No one
whatever's
wants to
gonna
watch
bring in.
Utah.
Yeah, it's whatever's gonna bring in the more revenue. You know what I mean? And more people are gonna be watching at certain times, so that's why they have certain teams probably playing first and all that good stuff. But yeah,
You know who brings in revenue?
our boy who just got cut today apparently, or was it today or yet? I don't know, but yeah, Tim Tebow, man, this guy. Ah, man, everyone was expecting it though, right?
Yeah.
Everyone was expecting him to get cut. The story was cool, him joining back with his old coach, Urban Meyer, on the Jaguars. He's getting a redemption story as a tight end. It it was an interesting story, but I think everyone knew it wasn't going to work out and he was going to get cut. But
Yeah.
I mean, anyways, so today Colin Cowherd said that he said you can get Tim Tebow's anywhere. You can find them at any gym, whatever gym he said. I think he said it was Gold's Gym, Crunch Gym. I don't know, but he said that you could find Tim Tebow's anywhere, and he's not a professional athlete. And that's just like,
Yeah.
come on
It's
now, man.
I
Come on.
everyone knows I'm a Tebow guy.
Yeah.
And before we continue this, I hope people know Tim Tebow is in Canton. His jersey for the quick overtime drive against the Steelers, I think it's
Hmm.
the Music City Miracle, they call it.
Yeah.
Yeah, his jersey's in Canton. So just want to let you know his legacy will live forever. Uh, thanks, NFL. No, I've been a huge Tebow guy forever, ever since I still root for Florida because of him.
Really.
Yeah, I love watching Florida when their quarterback who just got drafted. I follow him just because it's a Florida guy.
Hmm.
Tebow made me love that state that has
Tebow
a
made you
bunch
want
of
to run
crazies.
through a
But
brick wall.
yeah, oh, dude, his speeches, the kind of person he is, it's great,
Uh,
and it makes me sad because people are on two huge spectrums when he got into or when he got with the Jags. It
mhm.
was this is going to be a dumpster fire and he's just getting a shot because,
It's Tim
Urban
Tebow.
Meyer.
Urban
And there's
Meyer.
the other people that are like, no, 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 he's going to be a Hall of Fame talent tight end. Like, just you watch. And it's like, okay, no, how about we meet in the middle? He probably would play like maybe 5, 10 snaps, and that would be it. That's what I was
That,
expecting. And then
yeah, I
obviously
wasn't even
this
expecting
happened.
him to make the roster going into it. Like I knew he'd like obviously we knew he'd get some snaps in the preseason, but I wasn't expecting him to make the roster after the preseason. I mean, he's one of the first
Yeah,
five people cut on the Jaguars.
yeah, it was after his first game. I watched him. It was
There were some clips of him
yeah, he
got
was
cracked.
running wide open for a seam. That was exciting. And then poor Lawrence had to run because that Jags O line's god awful.
Yeah, poor
And
guy.
then the next play was the one where they had him, go to block. I think it was one of those backside blocks. They call it a wham. And
Yeah.
it was tough to watch. But what sucked is I was listening to the herd and I heard exactly what you were just talking about.
Mhm.
Cowherd does such a good job usually of staying somewhat in the middle.
Mhm.
Very rarely, except when he's saying the Ravens are going to go undefeated, does he kind of jump to an exaggerated side.
Mhm.
To say Tebow isn't a professional athlete, I think is ridiculous.
I mean, he's
And
one of the best college athletes of all time.
he did say that he's a Saturday athlete, not a
Yeah.
Sunday athlete. And
Yeah.
we've seen plenty of those. Like, oh, why am I blank? Ryan Leaf. Ryan Leaf's one of those guys, Jamarcus Russell, Trent Richardson. There's a bunch of guys who are Saturday athletes and they just don't translate to Sunday, and that's 100% okay. Tebow, though, you can say that it was that Denver defense that helped him out.
Mhm.
He won a playoff game.
Yeah, he did. He did. He won a playoff game. Won his first playoff game ever. His first and only playoff game, obviously.
He beat a solid Steelers team that people
Which
were saying,
no one was expecting them to win that game. It was
no.
everyone was shocked, and I just feel like it was all over the place. Like when everyone who was watching that game just couldn't believe their eyes when they saw that deep pass that Tim Tebow threw, and I think,
Demarius Thomas running
yeah,
80
yeah.
yards, and that still wouldn't have happened if they weren't in Mile High. Fun
Mhm.
fact, I think I've already told you the story. Uh, Mile High, it's literally called Mile High because
It was
it's
Mile High
the
Stadium.
air altitude is ridiculous.
Hmm.
The safety that was starting, he was having issues breathing because of the difference in air. So they took
Yep.
him off the field. It was a backup safety, was in the wrong coverage.
Hmm.
And that's exactly where the play went. And Demarius Thomas, 80 yards, Tebow's jerseys in Canton. So it's like, people say the man upstairs was looking out for Tebow. I think it's kind of hard to argue that at that point, but I don't understand the argument saying he's not a Sunday kind of guy. And then even if you look at his baseball career, like in 2018 when he first got there, he he had 36 RBIs, and I might be wrong, but he was batting 273 in the
Honestly,
minor leagues.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
and so it was like he was solid, and then the next season he was batting like 163, which was
just
nothing, and that's when the Mets cut him and everything else, and they came out and said it was just for tickets and all this other stuff. But like he's a good athlete.
Mhm.
There's a reason besides just his locker room presence that he was able to get drafted in the first round.
Yeah.
Now, I know that there's been a bunch of busts, and just because you're drafted where you are doesn't mean anything.
Mhm.
But Tebow is a professional athlete. And I understand he said he's a Saturday athlete. Tebow is one of, if not the greatest college quarterback of all time.
Mhm.
But to say, yeah, no, you're not a professional athlete. I mean, dude's
This
won
is
games. And the only way that Denver was okay, that fan base, of getting him out, who replaced him?
freaking
Peyton
the
Manning.
man, the myth, the legend, Peyton Manning. Yeah. I mean, I'd instantly do that too. But I think the issue I have is just him saying like you can find him at a gold gym. There's no, you're not finding players that get drafted in the NFL or get the chance at some playing on some of these teams like in professional sports athletes. You don't find these guys at gold gym. Like no.
Yeah, he was just saying that he's a huge workout addict, and he's like, you can find people like him anywhere. And it's like, okay, I've seen a lot of big guys, but to be honest with you, Tebow's like quickness, I don't want to say speed because he's not that fast, but he's pretty good with his feet. You know what I mean? He was an athlete. Like
Mhm.
there's a reason that he was able to play two sports.
Yeah.
Now, maybe he didn't play baseball to the greatest ability, but
Mhm.
I mean, who did? Like
Yeah.
Jordan didn't really. Dion did. Bo did. But we're talking about two guys that are
Just
absurd athletes.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, no longer playing in Jaguars jersey anymore.
Yeah, maybe not so unfortunate. I don't know if he'd want to be there anyways.
Unfortunate for Tim Tebow.
Yeah, I love that guy. I wish people would stop hating on him. But you know what's really weird? People are hating on this, and it made sense. And then I heard it more, and it didn't. On Undisputed, Shannon Sharp, he was talking about how much he hated the play-in tournament for the NBA. I
Yep.
know you were okay with it in the bubble, and then
Yeah.
after that, you didn't like it.
See, like I here's the thing. I understood it. Okay, so the bubble obviously made a lot of sense. The season got shortened, and it was just like, all right, we got to throw everyone in this bubble, and they all got to start playing. And who knows what could have happened during that when it got shut down in March. The season after, I also didn't mind it because it was shortened 10 games, and 10 games is kind of a lot of time for teams. Like it could have been that's the big difference between, being the 7 seed or being that 10 seed. I understood it. I wasn't necessarily the biggest fan of it because at the same time you're still playing 72 games, and this is the argument that everyone makes is you grind out that season for the 8 seed just to have to play the 10 seed, which there's only a few other teams behind them. Like that's just a long season to have to go and keep playing more for a 10 seed team to have a chance at making the playoffs, which I thought was dumb. But I feel like what the NBA has been trying to do for a long time now is trying to figure out how to make the regular season a little more relevant, right? Because you and I can both agree that the NBA season is not very relevant. It's all about the playoffs and
Well, the players don't even think it's relevant. Like that's
yeah,
why there's load management.
it's just get to the playoffs and we'll make a run from there. And that's why Adam Silver has been another thing that is he's been pushing that mid-season tournament that he wants to do to kind. I think it's it's more for obviously for revenue and views. You want to figure out how you can grow your league and how you can make it the best major league sport of in America. And mm, mid-season tournament sounds dumb. I don't think teams are gonna want to risk their athletes their athletes' health on a mid-season tournament, and then play in. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to grind out the season and then have to play a 10 seed, and the 10 seed has a chance at making it into the playoffs. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I was against it
Uh-huh.
this year when I heard that they were going to continue it.
Yeah.
And sometimes when people talk, it's okay to stop.
Hmm.
But then when you keep talking, sometimes you step on yourself. And that's what Shannon did to me. So he
Uh-huh.
was against it. He was saying, like, hey, you know what? They play this entire season. And then all of a sudden you're going to tell them, like, you need to play like these other guys. Like, no,
Uh-huh.
that's not how it goes. I was okay with that. And then all of a sudden he said, like, what if you did that in the NFL?
The NFL
And then he said,
basically has that.
they have the wild card. He said,
Yeah,
what if you do that
exactly.
in baseball? Baseball does. So I
Hmm.
started to think about it. If you stopped calling it the play-in tournament
And call it a
and you
wild
just called
card.
them wild card teams,
Yeah, I mean, see, yeah, I mean,
that's basically it.
I feel like it makes sense. Like it's good for the sport. I think I understand why players hate it, and my argument that I just made makes sense. But at the same time, like I can see reasons for it, and I can see reasons against it. Now, if they do it again this season, like they're talking about, I won't necessarily hate it, but I think Shannon Sharp made a good point. Like the NBA got really lucky this season to have one of the playing games be LeBron and Steph Curry. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's just will it get the same amount of views? I'm not 100% sure it would, but I don't know. It's hard because I love basketball. You know me. I think it's a fun concept. One game you're in, or you're the 8 seed or the 7 seed. You lose, you get one more shot. It's an interesting concept, but yeah, I agree. It's basically a wild card, and
Yeah, and I remember people freaking out over baseball. So it's a little different, but so there's 162 games in baseball.
yes.
And I remember when they introduced 163. So basically, if you're tied, everything's even. You need to figure out who's going to the playoffs. There is one game. It's 163. I love it when it happens, and the teams just play one game. Winner goes to the playoffs. It's
Yeah.
basically just an extra playoff game. And I remember baseball was so upset. The fan base, the traditionalist,
Yeah.
they play 162 games. You're going to have their entire season lie on one game. Well, the NFL, they play, for quite a bit of months, and then some of them get bounced after one game.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Basketball, same thing. They're just not used to it. These are sports where they're used to, best 3 out of 5, best 4 out of 7. So I think if they were to call it a wild card, I wonder if people would be freaking out as much. Because once
yeah,
Shannon Sharp said that, I was thinking about it and I went, yeah, there are teams in baseball that shouldn't make it, but they make it
but they do.
because they're wild card teams.
Yeah.
Football teams, there are teams from a certain division that we talk way too much about, and they make it because either they win the division or somehow they sneak in as a wild card. And it's like
I
there are
think
teams that shouldn't make the playoffs, but they do because of wild cards.
I think a big difference though with the NBA is you have 30 teams and 16 of them make the playoffs. You know what I mean? So over 50% of the league is going to make
Yeah.
the playoffs. So that could be an argument too. You have 8 seeds in the West and 8 seeds in the East. If over 50% of your league is making the playoffs, do you really want to have a wild? You know what I mean? That's just another argument, obviously, but yeah.
That's a way to look at it, though. So, do you count the play-in tournament, as a wild card game, or is that to be the wild card? Like,
Mhm.
obviously, there's a lot to think about for it, but
Yeah.
it's interesting what a name does to things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People get very upset when you call something a certain thing, and
Mhm.
they see, either negative or positive connotations. I
Mhm.
really think if you called it a wild card, I think sports fans would be like, yeah, they'd be like, a lot of sports have that.
I mean, it's interesting because also in baseball and football, like your division matters. In the NBA, your division doesn't mean anything. It's just
Yeah,
part of that
I've
division.
noticed that.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what kind of concepts they can bring with that. But playing game, wild card game, I don't know. I think think it's an interesting topic that people are gonna be arguing, and obviously you're not gonna please everyone. It's that'll never happen. So we'll see. But speaking of wild card games and football, I'd like to talk a little bit about the Giants. Earlier
Oh,
today
yes.
on yes. So earlier today on Get Up, they were talking about the Giants, and they were saying if Daniel Jones is on the hot seat this season, Saquon Barkley should also be on the hot seat. And I think that was Dan Orlovsky saying that.
Yeah.
And do you think so, Zach? I don't think Saquon should be on any hot seat after coming off an injury like that. Like,
So my mom's a teacher.
Mhm.
And when I was growing up, I'd be like, oh man, this homework's hard. Like she didn't teach this. My mom was like, no, you just didn't listen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's your profession, you side with it. So
Mhm.
you'll find yourself people who are grown-ups and they have their careers. Like you'll notice that if someone didn't really go to college and they took, a job or a work path instead, they'll kind of side with that, teacher side with teachers. Like that's just kind of how it
Yeah.
works.
Mhm.
That's exactly what happened to Dan. He was talking and they were like, hey, the most pressure's on Daniel Jones. Like if he doesn't win this year, like they got to get him. And you could see the bias in him where as a former quarterback, he was defending his, he was like, if this is it for Daniel Jones, this is it for Saquon. Like, and then I love when people say stuff that matter and then they dismiss it and acknowledge it. He was like, I understand that Saquon had that ACL injury, but he missed 17 games. Like, he should be stepping up. And I'm like, so you acknowledge that he got hurt, he missed a year, and
Uh,
then you say he should still be stepping up. So
uh-huh.
you look at also in his argument, he said that quarterbacks don't really do much without a good offensive line. But he's wanting Saquon
Yeah.
to do something with a horrible
A
offensive line,
running
which
back
he already did.
can't do anything with offense. You would think can't. Yeah, and Saquon has proven that it doesn't matter. This dude is he's a beast.
I don't get it. And it's really funny because you look at it and this is when I like to start to think about stuff because he said, Saquon, you are the second overall pick. Start playing like it.
And he was.
Okay,
That's
Daniel Jones, you are the sixth overall pick. Start
start
playing like
playing
it.
like it. Now here's
Tom
the thing.
Brady was the 199th pick. He started playing like it. Aaron Rodgers was, what, 25th? Start playing
Uh-huh.
like, what do you mean play like your position? Like, I've seen plenty of guys drafted number two that sucked.
Well, first
Ryan
of
Leaf was
all,
drafted number two.
we just talked about him too.
I know,
Saturday
but it's
player.
like, come on.
No, but it doesn't make sense because how can you say Saquon, you're the number two overall pick, start playing like, dude, the dude was considered the best running back in the league his first 2 seasons into the
Yeah.
first 2 seasons, and then he gets injured in the third season, ACL injury, first game. Come on, man, he can't. He's not on the hot seat. He's proven
No.
what he can do. Obviously, now coming off an injury, you don't know what to expect, especially after an ACL injury. But with like the way modern medicine is, obviously football can be different too because of the constant contact sport. But we've already seen what Saquon can do. It's just now it's what's so wrong with calling Danny Dimes out? Danny
Yeah.
Dimes, see if he can throw some dimes this season. But what's so wrong with calling him out, saying like you're on the hot seat, dude? I don't understand how Saquon would be on the hot seat after coming off an injury. Like you're not gonna expect him to be the same player. Like probably first 5 games, you give him a little more. I mean, even then, that's still a lot. But you want to give him at least like 5 games before he's probably gonna be back
Yeah.
in full form. But no, he's not on the hot seat, dude. That makes zero sense.
No. And the way I like to look at it is so Jameis was on the hot seat in Tampa,
Hmm.
right? So he's on the hot seat, didn't perform very well. He's cut. How many people were jumping at Jameis?
Quite a few, no?
There was like three, four teams, something like that.
Which honestly isn't bad. I mean,
No,
he had he had that 30-30 season. 30
he did.
touchdowns,
Yes.
30 interceptions. But like I said before, he got LASIK eye surgery. Let's
But
see
but
where
that's
he
the thing.
goes.
It's like he was on the hot seat and there were four teams that wanted him. If
Yes.
Danny Dimes were to get released after the season or traded, how many teams would be calling?
I
I'd
mean,
guess about four. Now let me ask you this. Saquon gets cut.
uh-huh.
You're telling me that
Oh, I'd love for
30 out of the 32 teams aren't getting them.
teams would jump at the opportunity to grab
Like
Saquon.
there's maybe two teams, and that's just because I don't think it would go well with Derrick Henry or Alvin Kamara. Those are the only two I can see.
You think
I
so? I
mean,
mean,
maybe Nick Chubb.
yeah, yeah. I mean, they're wait, they're you said Alvin Kamara, Christian McCaffrey.
Oh, McCaffrey.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
came out of there. I was all like listening. I was like, time out, time out. But yeah, I mean, there are teams that would maybe want Daniel Jones if he got cut. You know, like I don't know, Colts if Carson Wentz doesn't stay healthy, or teams that need a backup. If he gets cut from the Giants, you don't expect him to ever really start
Yeah.
again, unless a team needs him to start. You know, like the Bears are possibly starting Andy Dalton at the beginning of the season. Obviously, you're going to assume that Justin Fields kind of takes the reins eventually. But yeah, it doesn't. I just that argument just sounded really weird to me. I couldn't believe that they were saying Saquon should be on the hot seat too. It's like,
Yeah, he was. You could tell the bias. He was very defensive over quarterbacks. He was trying to be like, "Look, you guys don't understand. Like, it's hard to do something with the ball when you don't have anybody around you." And it's like that's true.
mhm.
That's very true. But now take
But
that logic.
now they have players around him though. This is like
Well,
they
the O line's still pretty bad.
yeah, that's
It's gotten better. But the thing is, like, take that logic and put it on Saquon. Like, if you don't expect Danny Dimes to do well with that O line,
what
what
can
you're
you say?
saying is you think Saquon is way better. He's the heart and soul of that team, and he can overcome that line. That's what I hear.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I agree. I couldn't believe the hate I was hearing about Saquon just because I mean everyone loves Saquon. He's a dude, he's a monster. Coming into his first season was considered one of the best running backs in the league. You
Yeah.
don't do that very often.
No. But Tyler McGee, I would like to ask you.
Okay. What's up?
Dan Orlovsky got quite touchy when
Hmm.
it was said that Daniel Jones is on the hot seat. I would argue maybe Matt Stafford is, Jimmy
I
Garoppolo. I could think of a handful of guys. To you,
mhm.
who is the quarterback under the most pressure to win this season in the NFL?
There's a few, like I could say players like, I think Tua is under pressure because they were talking about trading him earlier this off season. So if he doesn't perform well, I'd imagine they move on from him. We're talking about players like Jimmy G, who has Trey Lance just kind of sniffing over, breathing under his neck type of thing. Baker Mayfield, I like to say he's probably under pressure to perform, especially with the team they built around him now. But I mean, I always got to talk about my Rams. I don't think this is necessarily a biased opinion when I say it because I think Matthew Stafford probably has to be under the most pressure to win because I think people and NFL analysts and just the Rams themselves agree that this could be a Super Bowl contending team. And we just traded Jared Goff for Matthew Stafford because we believe Matthew Stafford could be the guy who's going to get them or us over the hump. So I would have to say that I think Matthew Stafford probably has to be one of the quarterbacks under the most pressure to win this season.
So he's your top guy.
Top guy, yeah, I think so.
See, and I can have an argument for Stafford. And what I mean by that is it's your first year.
It is your first year. I
You're
mean,
coming into it is a quarterback friendly offense, but like you're getting used to coming across the country.
mhm,
You're meeting everybody. Like not many people, except for Tom Brady, go and win a Super Bowl their very first year. So it's like you
that's
could
true.
pump the
I mean,
brakes if you're
we
the
actually
fan
made
base
that
and
argument
go
on a
second year.
previous episode. We made that argument on a previous episode. Like it wouldn't be surprising to see the Rams drop a couple of games. You know what I mean? The beginning of the season
Yeah.
because you can't assume that he's just gonna get into this offense right away. But I feel like with the media and everything, they're gonna expect the Rams to win from day one. If they're not winning, it's gonna be like, oh my God, this trade was a terrible idea. You know what I mean? And
Oh
Matthew
yeah.
Stafford's not good. I feel like that's just the way it'll shift. So I feel like in terms of like media and stuff, it's just gonna be he's gonna be under an immense pressure.
Yeah. If I had to choose, oh man, I'd have to say Jimmy.
Hmm.
Baker's in my mind too, but let me.
I mean, I think
Yeah, I
Carson
got to go
Wentz
with
has been
Jimmy.
under a lot of pressure too.
Yes and no because he's hurt, so they
Yeah, but
can
that's the
push that
thing.
off.
Like, if he can't get healthy, like, do you really want to keep sticking with this dude? Like, because I
I
mean,
love Jake.
go ahead.
I love Jacob Eason. I do, but I don't think he's going to be the guy. So the thing is, like, there's nobody to replace him. Like, that's why I'm putting Jimmy G over Baker. Like,
Hmm.
Baker would be two for me because Jimmy, first off, people have been upset with him ever since that Super Bowl loss. They've
Hmm.
been saying that the Niners need someone more dynamic. Like, he's just not that good. I always tell you, the guy wins games.
I can't stand this argument, bro. I do not like this.
Shanahan has a losing record without Garoppolo. And it's like, you guys can say what you want, but that means Jimmy has something.
He's
So
got
if
something. He'll win you games, but he's not the quarterback that's going to take you, like you said, over the hump of the Super Bowl. And
he
you could
took them to the
argue,
Super Bowl,
yeah, but you could
they were
argue that his
winning.
team, it's not just him that he has a better team. If you had a better quarterback, they would have won. You know what I mean? I
But
don't
you
think Jimmy,
can't.
we're getting into this argument again. I don't think Jimmy G is that good.
He took them to the Super Bowl. They were winning by double digits going into the fourth quarter.
Guess who won? The better quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, because Jimmy G struggled to perform at the end of the game.
But I thought it was a team sport. Isn't that what you just said?
No, it is. And their team, the defense did really well holding Mahomes. And then later in the game, what do we see? We saw Jimmy G break down. And obviously it's a team sport, but I just
We
don't think
didn't see
Jimmy.
him break down. We
Oh
saw
my
Shanahan start
God.
to go conservative.
Mm, I don't think Jimmy G's the
That's
winner.
what Shanahan's done. And I love Shanahan. He was super conservative in that Super Bowl with the Falcons, where they dropped a 25
Yeah.
point lead. He was super conservative going into the half with Jimmy G and then conservative in that fourth quarter. That's just what happens. He doesn't keep his foot on the pedal. And so the thing is, it's not Jimmy's fault.
I guess. I don't know. I do agree though. I do think Jimmy's under a lot of pressure. I think
He is the most pressure because there's actually somebody behind him. And there's people like you that are very upset at Jimmy thinking he's not
I'm not
talented.
upset at Jimmy. I'm upset at you for thinking Jimmy's that dude, that dog who's gonna take you to win a Super Bowl because I don't think he will. I don't think he'll ever get back to the Super Bowl.
There is a jersey that he wore that he never lost a game in,
No.
and it was in New England.
Yeah, I know it was in New England.
He never lost with Bill Belichick. He
So was it Bill
took the
Belichick
Niners
or
to a
was it
Super
Jimmy G?
Bowl.
You know what I mean?
Oh, goodness. Is it Brady or is it Belichick? Why can't it be both? Why can't
No, it
Jimmy
is both.
G?
It is both. I agree.
Why can't Jimmy G just be a bright guy? He doesn't have to win games like a Patrick Mahomes or like an Aaron Rodgers. Why can't he be like a somewhat better? I don't even want to say Alex Smith because Smith runs like he takes care of the ball. He does his job.
You got to do a
Why
little
is that
better.
bad?
I don't know. I mean, it's not bad. I'm just saying the Niners drafted Trey Lance for a reason. They don't
Yeah,
think Jimmy G's the guy anymore. He's under pressure, but I still think it doesn't matter. Whatever he does, I still think he'll eventually get replaced.
probably. But yeah, I'm putting Jimmy first. And the reason Baker's second and not first, I get Baker's in a contract year where he's fighting for an extension.
Hmm.
There's nobody behind him.
True.
And with how
And it's
well
not
they're
like
probably going to do, there's no way they're going to get another quarterback like
there's.
with a draft pick.
I agree. I think there's no way the Browns move on from Baker. Like we said, this team's been historically bad. You finally found a competent QB who's he's shown he can do well, and they finally have a good team around him. Like you're not gonna let him walk. There's no way they'll extend him eventually.
Well, it sucks because even if they go 9-8 or 8-9,
Mhm.
that's not good enough to get a top QB. And
Yeah.
it's like, who are you going to trade for? Who's appealing to you?
Mhm.
Like, is a Jimmy Garoppolo appealing to you? You know what I mean? Like,
No, he's not.
to you, I'm telling you, the guy
He's
wins
not. He's
games.
apparently not appealing to the 49ers either. If they're drafting his replacement.
They traded for him. He was
No, yeah,
appealing
I
at
know
one point and he took
exactly.
him to a Super Bowl.
I know he did, and unfortunately, that's it. That's all he's gonna see. He's gonna see that one Super Bowl, and that's it. Got a
That's
taste of it.
it. There are so many quarterbacks that don't even see that.
I know exactly. It's unfortunate that he lost to Patrick Mahomes, which we all expected, and That's unfortunate for Jimmy G. And that's probably the most winning season he'll have.
What?
Yeah, you think he's gonna have a better season than that?
I think he's going to have a great year this year with the Niners.
I think so too. I think they're a really great team, and I could see them winning a good amount of games, but I can also see him getting replaced this year after like 4 games into the season.
Hot take. Let's do this. I'm going to be
Yeah.
put on record for this. It's going to live forever on the internet. Trey Lance hasn't played a game of football besides that preseason in what,
Yeah.
2 years? It was like 538 days.
Mhm.
It was something dumb. He needs reps. That's what he
Oh,
needs.
100%. 100%.
He's not going to step foot on the field this year unless
don't
it's
think
for
so?
some type of gimmicky. No, Garoppolo's going to play this entire year.
See, I feel like Jimmy G will at one point either get hurt or
If Garoppolo gets hurt, he'll step on because he has to, but it's not going to be by the choice of it's going to be because Shanahan's hand is forced. It's not going to be a, you know what? I think this Trey Lance guy should be in over Garoppolo. It's no, Garoppolo's ankle's out or he bumped his shoulder again while washing dishes. Like we got to go and throw Trey Lance in there.
No, I think I can see that argument. I agree. It's been a long time since he's played, and he definitely needs reps. And that's kind of like, what we were talking about. Like, if you can get a quarterback to, just kind of sit and watch and learn, get reps in practice and in preseason, and eventually throw him out a year or two later,
Yeah.
I could see that. But I think he'll replace him at one point this season.
Yeah, we've had the talk. In a perfect world, he sits behind him and everything. And you know what? My mind right now, I woke up optimistic.
Mhm.
I saw the two Italians talking. There's a shirt. I'm pretty happy today. You know what? Jimmy G, my fellow Italian, Mr. Garoppolo, you're going to finish the season. You're going to go far. You know what? I'll even double down. Tyler, let's make a bet right now. $5.
$5.
20,
Oh shit! Here we go.
20, 50, 100. What do you
I'm
want?
down for whatever. What do you want to do? $20?
Jimmy Garoppolo. I'll parlay this with you. Jimmy Garoppolo finishes the entire season with the Niners starting unless he's hurt. The Niners have a better record than the Rams.
Oh, okay. That's pretty interesting. Okay, so basically, Jimmy G has to start every game unless he's injured. Then basically the deal's off.
Yeah. So basically, Trey Lance isn't going to go in because Shanahan wants him to. It's because he needs him to.
Oh, okay. How confident are you in this? Because I'll go higher. I'll go $50 if you want to. That's how that is a crazy bet, and I think you are crazy for making that bet.
50. Let's go.
All right, let's do it.
Is there a Zoom thing?
No,
Clap there.
What is it? The high five? How do I do that? I forgot how to. Haven't you zoomed in or done any of that in a minute? There we go.
Yeah.
Clap.
Deal. All yours.
And
Great.
then here is my celebration because I already know I'm gonna win this deal, and I'm really looking forward to it.
That's going to conclude this episode. I'm getting heated. Thank you for listening to our factual opinion. One of us has to be wrong, and I don't think it's me.
No, we'll see.
You guys can find us on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, basically wherever you stream podcasts. Be sure to give our YouTube a look also. That way you can see the vein in my neck coming out when I'm telling Mr. McGee all about my man, Jimmy G. This has been your co-host, Zachary Nikolai and Tyler McGee. Be sure to listen to us on Wednesdays and Fridays, wherever you stream.